Yes. So we're back again. I'm sorry, there was a short electrical failure for a couple of moments. Okay, so it says the world. Okay, what we're supposed to think. You're supposed to think. You want to come to love God. You have to. We're in exile, right? When we weren't in exile, people felt God. They knew that God is creating us. They knew that God is enlivening us. They knew that God is providing for us, and that God is our partner. That He's giving us responsibility, and that He cares about what we do, and it's very important to Him. Every detail of this world, especially what people do, and especially what we Jews do, especially. So it says, but first of all, we have to get a little bit of an idea, and even more a feeling of what God is. So it says the Rebbe, this world is created something from nothing. What does it mean from nothing? Because God is certainly not nothing, but God can make Himself into a king. And that God is a king. In the Torah, in the Bible, that's God's speech. It says God spoke, and He said, let there be light. So this thing of God's speech, a Kabbalistic name for that is that God is a king, Malchut, that God is a king. And that aspect of God making Himself a king, that is a tremendous descent and concealment, whatever, and hiding of God. So that's that God is a king. God's kingship is nothing compared to God Himself, the essence of God. So that God is a king, that's just a creation of God. And from this creation of God, which is called that God is a king, God's mouth, you want to call it, from that comes all the worlds. So it ends up that the worlds are something. Here we see the worlds seem to be something. And where do they come from? They come from an aspect which is nothing. In compared to God, it's nothing. Not only that, and compared to us, it's also nothing, because we can't conceive of what this God's kingship is. But the Rebbe is trying to tell us, good, we can't conceive of a lot of things, but the Rebbe is saying that even from above to below, from God's point of view, the aspect which enables the world to be created, you want to call it God's speech, in compared to God, that's nothing. And that's one of the reasons why it's called speech, right? You say one word, it's like nothing compared to who you are, right? You remember one word that you said, 25 years ago to your next door neighbor when he said, which color is your favorite color or something, and you said green, right? You remember saying green? When was that? It was 25 years ago, 1:00 in the morning. Yes, I don't remember a thing like that. I don't remember that. That's you. That's your whole being is in that word. What are you talking about? It's one little word. Here we're talking about one little syllable. And that's really not a proper, it's just an example sort of to give. But really the world is infinitely nothing to God. And it's created from something that's not infinitely nothing. It's just, let's say, one time nothing. One time infinitely nothing. Okay, so another, what's the point? What's the Rebbe want to say? We exist, and God is creating us, and we are very important to God. But don't think that we understand that. Don't think you understand what reality is. You don't understand what reality is. You don't understand. And really, when it gets into it, all these non-Jewish philosophers, they also don't understand what reality is. But they just try to explain it without God. So we're saying, listen, the fact is the world is infinitely more incomprehensible than we can possibly imagine. The world is. It's an amazing miracle. The difference is, according to the philosophers and those people, even the other religions, this world is not important. It's not important. And according to Judaism, this world is infinitely important. We'll get to that. Infinitely important to God. God did not create the world. He's not creating the world every instant. He's just because He wants to fool us. He's putting us in this maze, and if we get out of it, we're going to go to heaven. Says, no, heaven is good, infinitely good. You have no idea how pleasurable going to heaven is. No idea how pleasurable it is. And that's absolutely nothing compared to one moment in this world. What we do in this world, absolutely, it's told we can't even receive it. This is God gets pleasure from what we do in this world. We'll get to that in a minute. Okay, we don't understand any of this business, the whole entire thing, and that's because we're in exile. That's the idea of the exile. Exile means we have no idea what God is. We have no idea what creation is, but we think we do. We think we got it figured out, right? There's people that take drugs or whatever, and they just keep running, taking more money, more power, more, and they keep running after it, and it's false. They can't satisfy themselves. The soul can't be satisfied with physical. Can't be satisfied. But that's all there is physical, right? So that's what the Rebbe is trying to say wrong. There's physical and there's spiritual, and then there's the source of the spiritual. So this world compared to the spiritual is nothing, but the spiritual compared to God is also nothing. So it says, this is like a king. So the world is being created from this aspect of God that's a king, like a king. Asher Shemo Nikra Aleim, that the name of the king is called on the kingdom. Achine calls it, all this is because Seder Ishtalshus, this comes from the order of the creation of the worlds. Vehitavut Olamot, and the creation, the enlivening and the creation of the worlds. Elioni, the upper worlds. All this we're talking about, that the world is just like a ray and a wisp and a nothing, and the world is nothing compared to its source, which is God's kingship, and that's also nothing. It says that's only talking about all the upper worlds. But in this world, there's a trick. Like I said, all the upper worlds are nothing, but this world is tremendously important to God, more than all of the upper worlds. What we human beings do in this world is tremendously important to God. That's the whole importance of the Torah. More important than heaven, more important. In this world, by means of what's called tshuva, amaisim tovim, by means of returning our thoughts to our source, to what's the truth, and by means of doing good deeds, what God wants us to do, yochel hamshich, we can reveal the essence of God in this physical world. That's what was in the temple. In the temple were the tablets that Moses gave on Mount Sinai. When God gave the tablets on Mount Sinai, he revealed his essence. The second holy temple also had the tablets, but they were buried down deep. And also, Yosim Alibo, a person has to put to his heart that in the world to come, Ef Shalal Rak Hadraga, Kafa Kela Gehenom Gan Eden, Tachton Nar Dinor Gan Eden Elyon. In the upper worlds, there are elevations, but it's like being in an elevator. In other words, it's an automatic process of purification, like you're in a car wash. That's after a person dies, he goes through all these different worlds. You haven't got any free will. You have no say in what's going on. Kamishpat Laroy, Lafi, according to what God judges you, in what's called Mimali Kolmin. If you did good, you did bad. That's going to heaven. In heaven, everything is determined according to what you did in this world. But when you're in this world, you can change. You can change from one end to the other. Korega al shaladina ad shaladina, according to the law, hamakadesh isha, a person that marries a woman on condition. Let's say a Jew gets married. He says before he gets married, he says, I'm marrying you on a condition. What's the condition? The condition is that I am a basketball star. I'm a basketball star. Isn't that wonderful? Yes, I will get married to you. And they get married. They have the whole ceremony and the wedding and everything. And then afterwards he says, listen, I want to, and she tells her friends, I just got married to Shmerel. He's a basketball star. Says Shmerel, a basketball star. What are you talking about? He doesn't even know what basketball is. He just found out from one of your friends you like basketball. He's not a basketball star. He says, not at all. He doesn't even know what it is. What's a basket? What's a ball? He has no idea. He just knows that you want a basketball star. So he says, you know what that means? It means we're not married. It means that the marriage is nullified. It's just like we were before getting married. A person that gets married on condition, and that condition is not fulfilled, then the marriage is null and void. She's just like every other girl in the street, and he's like every other man. They have no connection whatsoever. Okay, what if a man gets married to the same woman, And he says, okay, I admit it. I'm not a basketball star, but I am a tzaddik. A tzaddik is a totally holy Jew that doesn't do any sins. And when she said, oh, wait, tzaddik, that is even better than a basketball star. You really are a tzaddik? Yeah, I didn't want to say anything about it, but, I'm humble. Us tzaddikim, we're humble people. Oh, let's get married. So, but this time, let's not make a big ceremony because we've spent all our money. It's no problem. They get married, the whole thing. She just says, I got married to Shmerel. He's a big tzaddik. It's a Shmerel. Which Shmerel? Shmerel Grois. He's a tzaddik. What are you talking about? That man, he doesn't do any commandments. He does absolutely nothing. He says, oh, another time, a lie. So what's the law? The law is they're married. He says, why are they married? Because a person that gets married to a woman on the condition that he's a tzaddik, Gomer, Mekudesh, she's married. Why? Even before, if he was a Russia Gomer, he was a totally not observant Jew. All right? Why? Because Shema hear her tshuva. Because maybe at that moment, he thought to himself, she's marrying me because I'm a tzaddik. Maybe a tzaddik is really a good thing, Maybe I should stop my evil ways and my nefarious practices and things like that. Maybe I should start doing Torah mitzvahs. Maybe I should listen to what my mother and father said. At that one moment that they got married, maybe he had a thought of doing tshuva. That made him a tzaddik. What do we see from this? And that a person in this world, let's start again. What do we see from this? That human beings are essentially good. Good. Human beings are essentially good. Here we're talking about a Jew, which is even more so. Every human is made in the image of God. Here we're talking about a Jew. Jews are essentially good. They're the sons of God. Every Jew, son of God. No, he did bad his whole life. That just covered it over. But he did really bad. I mean, he went against God. God is infinite. You went against, you made an infinite sin. It's an infinite blemish on your soul. So let's not get overexcited. True, it's true. But the fact of the matter is as soon as you say, I regret, then that makes an infinite change. That's what this world is about. This world is about that you can change your whole entire future and even your past. The person was evil his whole life. He says, as soon as that's it. All of his sins are forgotten. I mean, listen, if he owes money, he has to pay money. Okay, it's not that simple, but for our purposes, it is that simple. So, because that's the purpose of this world. This world, this physical world, is where the essence of God is. The essence of God is. And God is just waiting for our choice to choose to come back to him. That's all he's waiting for. Everyone has said, there's no such thing as we are all sinners and we're all going to burn and we're all this and we have to be saved. And that's a big lie. It's a big lie. We are all essentially very good, every human being. But you know what human beings are. We have a tendency not to act good and not to say good and not to think good. So if you do, in this world, all you have to do is repent. It says that a man who gets married to a woman, that's the highness of this physical world. Because there's a ray of what's called the essence of God, Soviv Ka'omim, in this world, the aspect of God that surrounds all the worlds. Therefore, the rabbis say, it's good, even one moment of returning and doing good deeds in this world from all of the worlds to come, even including the raising of the dead. Because that's what it means, mirov kol. It says, mirov kol l'mayla mi'olam haba. It says, we'll see later on in this book of the Torah, there's a Parshas Kitavo, that all these terrible punishments that happen to the Jews. It says the punishments are because you didn't serve God with happiness from rov kol. And it says, what does it mean, rov kol? That you should be happier in this world than rov kol are all the upper worlds, all the heavens. So you can get a big punishment in this world for not serving God in a happy way. In a happy way. God holds back, but it's like, coming to somebody and giving them a present and saying, listen, you got your heart transplant, the best doctor in the world, and for sure you're going to get better. And we bought you a house and we bought you a new car. And we're going to get you married to a woman that really likes you and she'll support you. And what do you say about that? I said, oh, thanks. That's it. Okay, you say the operation is today. 1 second, you're not happy? Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm happy. It's a nice thing. It's pretty good. That's it. It says God is giving us life. God is giving us the Torah. He's giving us the commandments. We can connect ourselves to Ein Sof. We can make every second of our life infinitely meaningful. Oh, that's nice. That's good. You're not happy? Yeah, whatever. Happy. So it doesn't. It says therefore it says we're supposed to be happy every moment. Mirov call. That's what it means. So you're not appreciating what's going on over here. We're not appreciating what God is. We're not appreciating what this world is, how precious every second of this world is, how happy we should be. We should love God with self-sacrifice. Not just, it doesn't mean giving our body willing to die for God. It means, the whole purpose is lahamshich ein sof, that we can draw down the infiniteness of God by means of the Torah and the commandments. That's what it means. These words that I command you today should be on your heart. Command, the word for command is attachment, mitzavacha, attachment. It should be that when a Jew learns the Torah and does the commandments, that he should be happy. He should have love of God. Every instant should be filled with appreciation. This is not just what that creates the world, the God that creates the world, God's name and his glory and his kingship. This is the essence of God is in the Torah. And when? Only now, right now, in this physical world, and not tomorrow after a person dies. When a person dies, he just gets rewards, wonderful rewards, tremendous pleasure. It's worth it to go to hell to receive these pleasures. But that's what we get. In this world, we actually give God pleasure. That's how important we are. So when we think about this every day, then the Torah will be brand new in our eyes all the time. Because today, in this physical world, you can draw down the essence of God, which is not the case in heaven. Therefore, the commandments are called the 248 limbs of the King of God, the 248 limbs of God, the 248 different blessings of life from God's upper will, kamashla aver, just like a limb. What's a limb? A limb has sinews in it and ligaments in there, and they connect to the nervous system, and they eventually get to the brain, and that's in it. And in the brain is your will, is your soul, and to move your arm however you want to. That's what the commandments are. The commandments are moving God's limbs, connecting to God's mind. That's the Torah. But this God is not just a God, a religious God. This God is creating me and you. It's infinitely more real than we can possibly imagine. And that's what it means. You should love God, ve'ahavta, that God should be your God, revealing God in both sides of your heart, with all of your vavacha. It says with both of your hearts. Yeah, okay, a little bit more. That's what it means. You should love God with all of your levavacha, with all of your hearts, in both sides of your heart. The left side of your heart, which that's bitterness, because you're so far away from God, sunk in this world, and far away from God. The chalal yamini, but the right side is tremendous joy of the commandments. Like it says, Yismach Yisrael ba'osav, that the Jewish people are happy in his deeds. What's his deeds? The commandments. Shenit labshu ba'asiyah, that God's commandments are put in this physical world to fill in charity. These are all physical things. Look in the Tanya, it explains it in the 34th chapter. But on the other hand, you also have to be bitter. Bitter from what? Because you should have to be bitter from the fact that I don't feel all this, right? I know it's true, but I don't feel it. Then afterwards will be a tremendous joy from the revelation of God that happens. You start to desire, wow, I really want to feel God, and I don't feel God. Why don't I feel God? Because I really, essentially, in my essence of my soul, really don't really care about it. I can get along without it. And therefore, you get bitter. How can I say a thing like that? That's terrible. How can I be a person like that? I'm awful. And the more that you feel bad about distancing yourself from God, you feel bad from your lack of feeling of God, as the more is your happiness when you do feel God. The more God made a very interesting world over here. We made a very interesting world that it's very, very easy to fool ourselves. Here we just see it. I just brought up the case, the one that said it was better that he should go to hell and suffer for. That was what was his name? Acher, Elisha ben Avua. Elisha ben Avua, he was a tremendous Talmud scholar. He was one of the people that went in with Rabbi Akiva into the deepest secrets of the Torah. And he became a big sinner. Before him, 1,000 years, whatever it was Yeravam ben Nevat. Yeravam ben Nevat was even greater. So when he learned Torah, there was fire all around him. It was amazing. And he made all of Jewish people sin. He was a big sinner. And how can these people do it? Because when a person does a sin, he's sure he's right. It feels good. He's sure that that's the way that you're supposed to do. Yeravam ben Nevat built 2 golden calves. Somehow or other, he explained it to himself. When a person does a sin, that's the real me. Now I really feel that's really me. That's who I am. What's the antidote? Bitterness. Bitterness. Man, I'm fooling myself. I got to stop this. I'm fooling myself. I want to build 2 golden calves. Everyone's saying, build, 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 go. It's going to be popular. It's going to be wonderful. I'm going to have power. I'm going to have everything that I want. Only one problem is my conscience is bothering me a little bit. Maybe this is the wrong thing to do. And if you activate it, then there's bitterness. You say, it is the wrong thing to do. And that I feel 100% right, that's awful. How could I think that this thing is right? I'm so stupid. I'm so low. I'm so crazy. How can I go after these bad things? The bitterness breaks your certainty in doing bad. And if you just think about it 1 second, let's say that Stalin, right, would say, what am I doing? How can I kill all these people? Right? This is wrong. Right? Hitler would say, just for the sake of the German people, I'm killing innocent babies. I have to stop this. He says, but all the people are waiting there for him. They're all going, Heil. Hundreds of thousands of people. He says, I got to stop this. I can't do it. I'm wrong. Could you imagine him doing anything like that? How could he stop bitterness? Bitterness, saying, listen, I can't trust myself. What I want, what I'm sure that I need is wrong. That bitterness is an amazing change, the source of change in this world. Only in this world can there be a thing like that. Even though there's no revelation now, we don't feel the goodness of God. Little wisps, like we say, conscience, whatever. But in the future, it will be revealed. Like it says, that now if we do what's good, even though we don't feel it, it's like putting a seed in the ground, but eventually grows up salvations. And Yisha Hashem. This is like a person that has like a big chest that's filled with precious stones and gems, and he's tremendously happy, even though he doesn't have the key. He doesn't have it. They give him a big chest, and they say, listen, see this chest? It has $500 billion inside of it. We're closing it and putting the lock on it. He says, okay, when can I get the money? We'll be in cut. Don't call us, we'll call you. He says, 1 second. How do I get the money out? The chest is yours. No one's going to take it from you, right? Maybe I could open it up. They can't open it up. There's like 15 locks on the thing. But it's yours. It's mine. And people hear about it. You're a rich man, right? When are you going to open it up? I don't know, right? So, okay, well, we'll give you loans with something that's going to be open up, right? Maybe not as much loan, but he still is technically is a rich person. The same thing with us. When we do what's good, even though we don't open it up, we don't see the good, we don't see the godliness, but it's like in a chest. And when Mashiach comes, it'll all be revealed. It says all of this that's the way it's supposed to be. But when it's not that way, and our bitterness comes that, wow, I wanted more money, or my bitterness comes, why does he have such a nice house? Why don't I have a nice house like that? Why does he drive a nice car? Why is it right? Then the bitterness is in the world, then we're in exile. And also the happiness. The happiness comes, wow, another zero in my bank account. Wow, am I happy? I won the election. Wow, am I happy? That's all my happiness. Is that's called exile. We don't feel the truth. We don't feel the goodness of Hashem. We don't feel the Creator. That's called exile, and this is what we're going to talk about tomorrow. Okay, let's stop this here. What's going on here? Oh, wait.